chapter 13. Because we're going to look at this in a brand new light, maybe a brand new revelation for some of you, what love is, okay? And who God is, for that matter. It says, God is love. So 1 Corinthians, if we look back at that, 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 4, it says, love is patient. But in 1 John it says, God is love. So in other words, what we can do this morning is we can remove the word love and use it in exchange for God. And when you look at verse 4 there, this is what God is. God is patient. If God is love and love is God, then the two are the same, and it's an expression from heaven, not a feeling or an emotion, but love is from God. And if God is love, then God is patient. Do you believe that? He certainly is, and I'm so glad God is patient. I'm so glad that God is a patient God with me, because it's easy for us to lose our patience in life, isn't it? I'm going to tell you, even as a preacher, I'm tempted with this every day of my life. I can't stand it. Have you ever noticed that when you're in a big hurry and you got to go somewhere and you got to be there quickly, that's the day all the slow pokes pull out in front of you? They're doing the speed limit when you're wanting to go around and you're angry that they're doing the speed limit. They're stopping for everything, or they're out on just a country drive and they're just taking it all in, you know. They're just not in a hurry at all, and you're behind these people and your patience are stretched. You ever gone to Walmart and you're standing there in line and you've got one item in your hand, you're holding this one box, and somebody pulls in front of you and you're in the 20 item or less aisle and they've got 22 items in their buggy. Doesn't that just tick you off? And you're thinking, you're counting every one of them as they go through, and you're thinking, you idiot, why did you get in this line? You got 22 items, right? Or maybe somebody pulls out in front of you and maybe they cut you off in traffic, or you know, all kinds of things. Somebody maybe gets your parking space. I've done this just to aggravate people before. I don't get their parking space, but have you ever noticed the people, and you may be one of these parking space claimers, that turn your signal on, like, I got here first. And you got your little blinker on. You've already claimed it, you know. We were off one time. Rebecca was with me, and Brother Darren knows what I'm going to do. But we were driving along here, and this car was backing out. Well, this car in front of me had already claimed it, man. They had the blinker on, you know. And so I knew that they did, and I was just going to aggravate them a little bit. And so when the car backed up there, well, I had a shot at that space right there. I didn't even want the space. But when they backed out and everything, they started pulling off. I just started pulling on in there like I was going to get it, and I just pulled back out, you know. And the guy was just sitting there like, he was like, what are you doing? I claimed it. I had my blinker on. That was my space. And so I just pulled out and I waved at him and smiled like, you know, don't get so frustrated about the little things, you know. So the thing is that all of our patience are stretched every day. But here's the thing. God has a lot of patience with us. God has a lot of patience with us. Don't you agree? I mean, He's patient with us, even when we do wrong, even when we step out of line, even when we promise we'll never do certain things again. The Bible says love is patient and love is kind. And you know what? If we were to look at that in that frame of mind, that if love is patient and kind, then we have to know that God is patient and God is very kind. His loving kindness, the Bible says, is better than life. It's better than life. I would have given up on me a long time ago, but God doesn't, because He is very patient with me. God is patient with you. God is so kind and He's so patient. What's the next thing? I want to look at another thing. And there's a lot of things that's listed here that God is, just like love. But I want to look at the next thing. And I want us to look at this, that God is not easily angered. God is not easily angered. Now you would think that a God that we read about in the Word, we see so many times where God really wiped out a lot of nations. I mean, He wiped out the entire blood race of certain people, including their animals and everything. So we serve a God that should be feared and respected, but he's also a God that is full of love and compassion and mercy and kindness and patience and all these wonderful things. But the thing is that God does get angry. The Bible says so. God gets angry. He has a vengeance, and God is a God that can get angry and very angry. But the Bible says in Exodus, it says that he is slow to anger. He's slow to anger. He's not short-fused, thank God, or he would have wiped us all out off the face of the earth years ago. But in Exodus chapter 34, I want to read verse 6 to you. Exodus chapter 34, it says, he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God. He is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. Our God is slow to get angry with us. And I know, some of us today, some of us are long fused, some of us are short fused. It doesn't take some of us much to just really blow our top. For some of us, and that's the ones that really frighten me the most, the ones with a long fuse, because, it just seems like that everything just bounces off of them and everything. But when that thing hits, it's like dynamite, man. It's like those people go crazy. But the thing is that God is not short-fused. He has very much patience with us. And God is not easily angered or upset with us. I know we disappoint him. We disappoint God probably daily. But he's very slow to get angry with us. He's not one that just loses his cool, loses his temper. The next thing that God is, and according to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, is that God keeps no records of wrongs. And this is one of my favorite ones, is that God keeps no records of wrongs, according to his word there in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. The psalmist says in chapter 103 and verse 11, it says, for as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions and sins from us. You know what? If you are only willing to ask God, he will forgive you of everything that you could possibly do in this life. And that's everything. There's a lot of wicked things in this earth right now. There's a lot of terrible things. Many of us watched the news this past week, and just less than an hour away from us right now, a very nice, predominant high school, or actually middle school, just right up the road from us, a ninth grader, 14-year-old child was shot in the head at his high school just this past week and died. 14 years old. And you think about stuff like that, how angry that would make you if that were your child, that you dressed for school and fed breakfast, and made sure that their hair was combed and teeth was brushed and everything. You sent them off to school thinking that they would be safe, and you get a phone call and realize that your child has been shot in the head that day at school. It's pretty bad. I know that would totally make us want to blow our tops and blow our cool, and we want to take out vengeance. But you know what? If the child that was the shooter simply, sincerely asked God for forgiveness, that's the kind of God we serve. That he would forgive that child for what he did. In fact, there's no other. In fact, if this kid grew up to be a mass murderer, serial killer, and rapist, if there was a time in his life that would sincerely bow down and surrender his life to God, then no matter how many people he had taken out in life, no matter how many people and families he had hurt, that man would still be a recipient of the forgiveness of God if he sincerely asked for it.